Scratch opening is a unique paint defect. It can be stated as scratches that reappear after coating and drying. We had been talking about paint defects, and this is defect number 40. This in total is our video number 122. Scratch opening is a paint surface defect in which sanding or flattening scratches become visible through the subsequent paint layers, appearing as lines, grooves, or swollen raised marks that spoil the smoothness and appearance of the finished coating. It can occur when sanding scratches are too deep, too coarse, improperly prepared, or insufficiently filled, oblique covered by the primer or subsequent coating layers. During drying or curing, the scratches may become more pronounced, producing the characteristic tram line or scratch swelling appearance. In simple words, deep or poorly prepared sanding scratches reappear through the paint finish as visible lines or ridges. It can further be defined as deep or poorly prepared sanding scratches reappear through the paint finish as visible lines or ridges. Typical appearance: scratch marks visible through the top coat, parallel lines, tram lines up from sanding, raised or swollen scratch edges, loss of smooth, uniform gloss of the finish. The key distinction is that the effect originates from the surface preparation, flattening operation that, that becomes visible after subsequent painting. Here is a photograph related to scratch opening. The key principle is scratch opening occurs when sanding flattening scratches are too deep or insufficiently stabilized and subsequently become visible through the paint system because of solvent penetration, coating shrinkage, inadequate curing, or insufficient surface leveling. This is the infographic and the picture depicting scratch opening defect. Scratches are underlying layers that swell, lift, or reopen after the coating has been applied and dried, become visible on the surface. Number one probable cause of scratch opening is coarse abrasive deep sanding scratches. That is, coarse abrasive paper produces deep scratches that are not adequately leveled by subsequent coating layers. These scratches can reappear as visible lines or ridges after drying and curing. The relationship is very strong. The countermeasure recommended is use the correct abrasive grade for each coating stage and progress to finer grades as specified. The second probable cause would be inadequate surface preparation or filling. It is, deep sanding repair or subsequent scratches remain insufficiently filled or leveled. Subsequent paint layers follow these surface irregularities, making them visible in the finished coating. The correlation is very strong. The countermeasure is properly fill, prime, and flat deep scratches, ensuring the surface is uniformly smooth before applying subsequent coatings. Third probable cause would be insufficient drying, curing of primer or undercoat. That is, If the primer or undercoat has not adequately dried or cured, solvents from subsequent coats can soften or penetrate it. Subsequent fill shrinkage can make the underlying scratches more pronounced. Correlation is very strong, and the countermeasure is allow sufficient flash of drying and curing time between coating stages, according to the paint manufacturer specifications. The fourth probable cause would be excessive undercoat primer film thickness. Heavy application of primer or undercoat can trap solvents and produce excessive film shrinkage during drying and curing, causing underlying sanding mass to reappear. Correlation between cause and countermeasure seems to be strong. The countermeasure is apply primer oblique undercoat at the specified film thickness and allow adequate flash of time and curing. The fifth probable cause of scratch opening could be incorrect thinner, reducer, or solvent conditions. That is, an unsuitable thinner oblique reducer or inappropriate evaporation rate can increase solvent penetration into the underlying coating and contribute to swelling or reopening of sanding scratches. Correlation is quite strong. The countermeasure is use the manufacturer specified thinner reducer appropriate for coating, temperature, and application conditions. The sixth probable cause could be improper spray technique, that is, gun distance, angle, pressure, or speed. Incorrect speed, incorrect spray technique can cause uneven film build, poor atomization, or solvent entrapment. This leads to uneven drying film shrinkage and the reappearance of underlying sanding scratches. The recommended countermeasure is maintain the correct gun distance, angle, pressure, and application speed as recommended by the paint manufacturers. The seventh and the last probable cause could be incorrect paint viscosity, that is, too low or too high. If the paint viscosity is too low, the film becomes too thin and flow increases, causing insufficient leveling of scratches. If the viscosity is too high, poor atomization and orange peel occur, preventing proper leveling and allowing sanding scratches to reappear. The correlation is somewhat moderate, and the countermeasure is adjust paint viscosity according to the paint manufacturer's specification for the specific product, temperature, and application method. The special note regarding scratch opening, that is number one title, improper diagnostic consideration of scratch opening. Number one, contamination during flatting can be mistaken for a scratch opening. Scratch produced when abrasive particles or other contaminants from a dirty paint shop environment become trapped between the abrasive and the surface during flatting may incorrectly be diagnosed as scratch opening. In such cases, the scratches are created directly during the sanding flatting operation rather than being caused by subsequent swelling or reopening of existing scratches. The second important note regarding scratch opening is insufficient color code thickness can simulate scratch opening. That is, an insufficient thickness of color code may fail to adequately cover or level the underlying sanding scratches. As a result, the scratches remain visible through the finish and can give the appearance of scratch opening even though no actual swelling or reopening of the scratches has occurred. Finally, coming to repair and rectification. Depending upon severity and depth of defects, that is, if the defects are minor scratches, compound and polish the affected area to restore the surface finish. If the defect is moderate, that is, moderate scratches, wet flat the affected area using E1200 grade abrasive paper followed by compounding and polishing. In case of it is very severe or deeply reopened scratches, allow the coating to harden cure completely, then wet flat the affected area to remove the defect and recoat as required. Ensure adequate drying curing before applying subsequent coats. Here is the infographic related to the scratch opening as to what we have already discussed, listing down the causes and a countermeasure, and also how it can be prevented to best practices and how it can be repaired and rectified. With this, we conclude our today's discussion on the subject of defect number 40, that is scratch opening. Stay tuned and thank you very much.